back, everybody. All right, more J6 trials. By the way, thank you guys for tuning in to our special January 6th edition of this program. You guys gave us great response for that. And I want to assure you, because many of you asked me in the Getter chat and out there in social media, you asked, was I going to stay on this topic? I am going to stay on this topic. I can't believe I spoke just, I believe, a couple days ago to somebody who's at the top of his field in politics, MAGA politics, and he did not realize there were still about 200 people sitting in a gulag since January 6th. So when I tell you that, that tells me we have a lot of work to do. Having said that, as I said many times, you all carried the water on this whole speaker vote. You all are the ones who said, no, this is going to work out well. You watched this program and others like it and said, no, this is going to go well for us. We need to have public dissent. We need to have this debate. That was all you that carried that out there to the social media audience and had a massive victory in that now we have rules changes, we have good things happening, we have accountability in government we haven't had for a while, and we have dissent. Remember dissent? It's such a good thing. So we will continue on. More J6 trials have begun today. Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio and 4 other co-defendants are on trial for seditious conspiracy. And I just have to point out, I always find it so ironic that the media never points out that Enrique Tarrio dude is Hispanic, while they're calling him a white supremacist. I mean, some of the stuff you just have to have a little, just a touch of common sense or be able to read an ethnic name to know that maybe they're a little off. This is pure objectivity, and they're not capable of it. Anyway, this is a rarely used charge, this seditious conspiracy charge that hasn't been used in decades and harkens back to the Civil War era. They'll dig back for that, but they don't know their history when it matters. There's an estimate of 1,000 more trials to come for J6 patriots, many of whom still sit in the D.C. gulag, about 200 of them, and other jails where they've been denied their constitutional right to a speedy trial. Right, fundamental. We learned it in, what, 4th grade? When we used to take Constitution class, which we don't have anymore. But the J6 committee that was recently disbanded before the new Congress has been hiding thousands of hours of video. Congressman Matt Gaetz says that Republicans will release 14,000 hours of J6 tapes that were hidden by the Democrats. And many of these defendants headed to trial. They say that this video evidence would clear them completely of all wrongdoing. So one of those defendants who says he would be cleared is Edward Badalian. He was arrested by the DOJ for attending the J6 rally. And Badalian says that video from the Capitol that day would not only prove a lot of people were not up to the no good they've been accused of, but would prove that he was actually trying to stop people from destroying federal property. And he joins us right now. Edward, great to see you. Thank you for being with us. Edward, you sent us some video that you say shows you trying to disarm one of the men who was attempting to break the windows in the U.S. Capitol. Tell us what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so I had walked up to the, well, hello, Gina. I'm actually a big fan of your show, but
great to have you.
I had walked up to the window there, and the crowd, I heard the crowd chanting, you know, Antifa, Antifa at these people. So it was apparent that they were agent provocateurs, that these were not real Trump supporters. And so I've gotten into fights with Antifa before. They've attacked me before here in LA. So I kind of have like a, I don't know, grudge or whatever against them. But anyway, so that's why I felt comfortable to put my hands on them, even though they were armed, and try to stop them. But the DOJ is coming after me anyway. They don't care. Like, there's other people who were agent provocateurs, like John Sullivan, for example, who was charged and then based off of this journalism defense had his charges dropped. And that's just because he's left wing. But he admitted on video that he's a member of Antifa, BLM Antifa, and they just dropped his charges. But people like me, they're coming after me, even though I did the right thing. And there's other people who just were there that they're just charging. Like and the people who are their agent provocateurs, like the people I disarmed, they're not getting charged. They haven't brought me as a witness against these people that I've broken the window. And they attacked me. They as a group, they attacked me after I tried to disarm them. None of those guys have been charged for attacking me. So what's going on? completely biased prosecution, completely biased.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you believe that there's more video being withheld that would help clear your name that maybe you haven't seen because it might show you trying to disarm Antifa? It might prove that those that many have said all along were Antifa actually were the aggressors and not the Trump people. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's definitely a video that, I mean, it's out there, but it has been suppressed. So there's a sledgehammer guy who I witnessed breaking. So you see that circular hole next to the crack that the guy I disarmed is making? There's a circular crack on the window. That crack was made by a sledgehammer. Yeah. The sledgehammer, that guy was disarmed prior to this by other MAGA supporters, real MAGA people, disarmed the guy with the sledgehammer. That guy admitted on video to being paid to protest. So that's the other video that I sent you that InfoWars was able to locate off of Instagram. And yeah, so and he admits that there's some sort of organized effort. He says that, but he can't say who it is. So it's either Antifa or it's FBI. It's one or the other, and they seem to be working together. So
yeah, and maybe a little Soros thrown in the mix as well. Edward, tell us, at what point that day did you realize that there were people in this crowd that were dangerous and perhaps not there just for a peaceful protest like many of the Trump people were planning?
It's actually interesting. I first noticed it soon after Trump told us that we're going to go walk to the Capitol Hill. And in Trump's crowd, I had noticed right next to me, standing next to me, were two Antifa, I guess, looking people who were wearing red and black as their colors. So they were wearing like red and black type hoodies with like war scenes of red and black, like communistic hoodies in Trump's crowd. So I already knew that there was Antifa there. And then on the way walking there, I saw people dressed in black, like walking fast through the crowd to get there fast before everybody else, and not like socializing, because most people were just like socializing and talking to each other. It was like a picnic atmosphere for most of the MAGA supporters. Yeah. But there was some people that had intent, a plan that was not what the MAGA supporters was. And there's video of it. We have video of the Sunrise Movement, their Zoom calls, planning on taking over buildings and planning on violence against the police in order to create this appearance of a coup. They literally admitted in these Zoom calls, but the mainstream media suppressed it.
And what have you faced since becoming a target of the DOJ?
So I've been charged with 4 charges: trespassing, conspiracy to disrupt a official proceeding, also a witness tampering charge, which makes no sense because the people I traveled with, they're trying to say that I told them to destroy evidence when I actually told them to, the Daniel Rodriguez, my co-defendant, I told him to go on InfoWars as well, his testimony, and he didn't want to. And he actually lied about what he had done. He's the guy who ended up tasing Michael Fanon, and he never told me that. So I would have never traveled back with him to LA had he told me that. Obviously, I would have either not traveled with him or turned him in or something. But he lied and traveled back with me, and now, I'm kind of bearing the brunt of his actions. But even Daniel Rodriguez, okay, not commit a conspiracy. Okay, he fell into the anger and the riotous tendencies of these people that I disarmed. Instead of him trying to disarm them like I did, like he should have, he joined in with their violence. And then now they're, you're going to use that with all of us.
Yeah. Well, most people don't realize that there were 4 people killed that day, all of them Trump supporters. There were no cops killed. That's a lie, especially not at the hands of any Trump supporters, at least not that anyone has proven to this point. And people also don't realize that there are mounds of evidence that was never presented in these J6 sham trials. And most people don't realize there are still about 200 people sitting in a gulag, in solitary confinement, most of them, being treated worse than our own terrorists are treated. Most people don't realize it is up to us to tell people, because not a lot of people realize. And it is also up to us to help folks who need it. And people can help you, Edward, by going to givesendgo.com/help free Edward Badalian. Is there anything else you want us to know, Edward?
Yeah, so the only reason I'm not in one of those gulags right now is because the government, in the pretrial hearing, they tried to argue that I attacked a rioter. So think about that. Think about how far they're willing to lie to try to go after us. That doesn't even make sense. How could I have attacked a rioter? You mean I defended the building is what it really means. And that's why the judge laughed the government out of the court. And that's why I'm out. But yeah, there needs to be organized. We need to be organized and countering this narrative.
Yeah. All right. Well, Edward Badalian, thank you for coming on the show today and telling us your story. And we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gina. I'm always available for comment or anything. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, the Department of Defense has just rescinded its COVID jab mandate for service members, and the memo from Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin made it official. He said he is proud of their work to combat the China virus, and that improved the readiness of the armed forces, although every branch of the military has missed their recruiting goals for the first time ever, because few American patriots want to be forced into getting a jab just for the honor of serving our country. Captain Maureen Bannon has been at the forefront of all of this for months, and she's here now to react. Captain Bannon, always a pleasure and an honor to have you on this program. Captain, what's your initial reaction to the jab mandate being finally ended for service members?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on, Dr. Gina. I am very happy that this mandate has been rescinded, but it should not have gone into effect back in 2021 when it did. And I just want to read a little bit from this actual memorandum that Mr. Austin put out. He said, all commanders have the responsibility and authority to preserve the department's compelling interest in mission accomplishment. This responsibility and authority includes the ability to maintain military readiness, unit cohesion, good order and discipline, and the health and safety of a resilient joint force. And then he goes on to state that other standing departmental policies, procedures, and processes regarding immunizations remain in effect. So while it has been rescinded, basically in the memorandum, he is stating that commanders can make that decision for unit readiness and if, for the safety of their units, or if they're deploying to a country that requires the mandate to enter that country, that's leaving it up into question. So that needs to be looked into, especially, the House wants to investigate so many things. They need to investigate this memorandum as well. That I honestly think that he's trying to say, yes, I'm rescinding it, but at the same time, you commanders can decide if you want to enforce your units to get this experimental jab. And
okay, Maureen, but Captain, I'm sorry, but what about those who were discharged for refusing?
So it goes on to state that they can petition because when they were discharged for disobeying a direct order, they were given a general discharge under honorable conditions, not an honorable discharge. So he's basically stating in this memorandum that by law, they can't go back and change it. However, the service member can petition their discharge, which we all know it's extremely hard to get a discharge changed. It's extremely hard to get the government to do anything, as we've clearly seen. So I feel like these service members are going to be in an uphill battle trying to get their discharge changed to honorable instead of general under honorable conditions. And the fact that you have so many service members that were forced out either for not getting the vaccine or that wanted to stay. So now that this has been rescinded, they should be given the option, if they want to go back into the service, they should be allowed to come back into the service with full back pay for the time that they were from when they were forced out until January 10th. So yesterday, they should be receiving full back pay if they want to go back in the military. And for all those service members that were forced to get this experimental jab and have medical conditions that have required them now to get out of the service because they are no longer able to fully do their job, they should also be given benefits by the VA and taken care of by the VA.
Yeah. You actually tweeted about a perfectly healthy Air Force Academy football player who dropped dead walking across campus to class after getting the jab. Does the secretary think we'll all just forget about this now that the mandate's been lifted?
I think, in all honesty, Dr. Gina, he does. I think that he's going to think that the American people will just up and forget that all of this happened, that service members have been injured by this vaccine, that it has caused death and destruction. We're not going to forget. And now that we have control of the House, we need to investigate why perfectly healthy children and young adults and adults are just dropping dead suddenly because of this. And the service academies required the vaccine for entry into the academies, especially under this mandate. So we know, while no one's come out and said that the reason for his death, they've just stated medical emergency, this perfectly healthy football player was perfectly healthy, besides most likely having to get the vaccine in order to enter the Air Force Academy. So underlying, once again, this vaccine is not as safe, not safe at all, actually, from what we have been told. So all those that were pushing this safety of it need to be investigated as well.
Yeah, no question. This is a little reminiscent, honestly, of Joe Biden going to the border and not even addressing the slavery, human trafficking, and the fentanyl. It's like he sent down this order for the military, but it doesn't address the dead people and the sick people. It's just mind-boggling to me. Anyway, Captain Bannon, we appreciate you always being in the good fight and drawing our attention to it so we can fight alongside you, and always let us know how we can do that. Thanks for being with us, Captain Bannon.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Gina.
All right, coming up, we have a Biden border invasion update. All the illegals, remember, that were cleared off the streets before the Biden visit happened? Well, guess what? They're back. The encampments are back. And Anthony Aguero here with that story and video next on Dr. Gina Primetime.